Welcome to Nana Talk, where community rises. I'm honored to have my guest, Mr. Wayne Rawlins. Unfortunately, I have to wear these shades today because I scratched my eye. Of course, I don't want to wear them, but because of the redness, I wanted to make sure I'm protecting my eyes. So I want to thank you, Mr. Rawlins, for coming down south to be on this podcast. I've been knowing you for 30 years, man. 30 years, brother. Can you imagine that?
How about that?
Good. So I usually like to start the show by allowing the guests to say a little bit about themselves before we get into the conversation.
All right. Well, I'm Wayne Rollins, and I am the president of Ummah Futures International. It's a strategic planning firm, and we're the contracted as the project managers for the Miami-Dade County Anti-Violence Initiative. And I'm the director of the South Florida Reentry Task Force that assists people that are incarcerated transition back into the community.
So that's a lot of hats, brother. That's a lot, and that's a lot of responsibility, you know.
Yeah.
And all of it around community stuff.
Yes, and with the religious space, I'm Muslim, so we're constantly trying to seek the pleasure of Allah. So all this work is really with the intent of trying to get some good deeds, so that the one that sent me here will be pleased.
Okay, so knowing you for 30 years, I'm sure he pleased with your work. I'm sure he pleased.
So unfortunately, Leroy, you're not the judge, but
I'm not the judge.
But I hope so. You can be a good witness.
right. I could bear witness, right? Right.
And vice versa too.
Right. Thank you,
it goes
brother.
Back to you as well.
Thank you, brother. So tell the audience a little bit about yourself. Where you're from, how long you've been here, things like that.
Yeah, I was born and raised in Hollis, Queens, and we went between Harlem and Hollis because my grandfather lived in Harlem. And I grew up on the block with Darryl McDaniels, who was also known as DMC, or Run DMC.
Okay.
And Russell Simmons and Run, they lived four blocks down from where I lived in Hollis. And I came here in 1981 to go to the University of Miami, right down the block from here, to study music merchandising, because I was in the music business, back then. And University of Miami had one of only two programs in the country for the business of music at that point, and that was University of Miami and North Texas State. So, the choice between UM and North Texas State, come on.
Right, come on, right? Go you. So you've been here how long you been here, you said?
Since 81.
Okay. Yeah. So since when you moved here, you registered at the University of Miami. So after the classes, you started doing what in the community?
Yeah. One of the things I noticed was that I came from the Jazzmobile workshop in Harlem, so that was my orientation in music right before I left New York. And so I came down here and I heard about the Concert Jazz Band being one of the top jazz bands in the world, actually. They had won awards in Montreal, Switzerland, and all over the place. And so in New York, music was largely, Afro-Cuban, Latino, Black, and then I got down here and I saw the Concert Jazz Band at New Student Orientation, and it was all white and one brown face. And the one brown face was Juan Sakata, who later changed his name to John Sakata.
Oh, okay.
Who went on becoming a very famous songwriter and art performing artist. So when I saw that, I said, why in Miami there are no black people playing music, I mean, jazz music, put it that way. And so it wasn't that nobody was playing jazz, but there wasn't a learning environment for jazz. So at the Cultural Arts Center on 62nd Street and 22nd Avenue, I spoke with Marshall Davis, who has done, I think he's got about 50 years over there himself.
Right.
And we started the PCA Jazz Workshop, and we started with Dizzy Gillespie and Dr. George Butler, who was a big-time producer in CBS in New York. And we kicked off the PCA Jazz Workshop where students from the neighborhood could come and learn jazz for $5 a week, or if they didn't have it, for free. And all the local jazz stars, not all, but like at that time, Spider Martin, Alice Day, Melton Mustafa, they'd all come to the Cultural Arts Center on Saturdays and teach children and others jazz. And so that was our first introduction to community work in Liberty City and Miami area.
So they I noticed they're going to be honoring Dr. Marshall Davis soon at the Adrian R. Center.
Yes.
Of his years of 50 years, I think it is, of service, and all the big names that, people that came out of the community and now doing great things in the community. So I already done got my ticket, my complimentary ticket to participate. So let's move forward. So after you stop investing time into the jazz thing, you went into what field?
It's funny because I was producing an event called the American Jazz Awards. It was like the Grammys for jazz. And we were going to hold it at the Gusman Center for the Performing Arts. And it was
Gusman Hall?
Yep. Mm-hmm. And it was a American Express gold card, black tie event. Mm-hmm. And we couldn't move any tickets. Mm. We couldn't move any tickets. We had $250,000 in advertising. We could not move any tickets. Why you think
that? Because it was downtown?
No, because Miami, jazz is like, something that you listen to at the park or at the club or whatever. But it's not like New York or Chicago or LA, like Lincoln Center or the Hollywood Bowl where people, dress up and spend money and go to a jazz concert. So I don't think there was an appreciation for what we were bringing, at that time. So it flopped. And there's something called the drop dead date in the music business that if everything is not in place by a certain date, you just cut your losses. So we did. We cut our losses, and then I was broke. I lost everything. And so my wife at the time, she had a cousin that had a small trucking company and needed somebody to drive to New York twice a week, and you get $500 a trip. And so $1,000 a week, and I had just lost everything. I was broke. I said, okay, I'll do it. So I went to go get a Class A tractor trailer license, and they said it was going to be $1,400. And I'm broke. I don't have nothing. They said, so go to OIC in Liberty City and they'll help pay for your training. So I went to OIC. They paid for my training. I got my CDL license. And when I went to show the executive director my license, he said, Rollins, you ever did any accounting? Now, my grandfather was the first black CPA in the state of New York. So he taught me bookkeeping, but I was an artist. So it was a conflict. I was good at it. Right. Good at the, crunching numbers, but it's not something I enjoyed to do.
Right.
And so I told them, I have done some bookkeeping. And so I brought their books up to date because they were about to lose their funding. And then I left. Never did those trips to New York. But for the next year, I did some entertainment consulting and some local driving. And then I went back to OIC, said, how, Mr. Reverend Washington, how are things going with your book signing? He says, man, we need a full-time fiscal officer now because our books have fallen behind. They're about to close us down. Okay. So I came on as their chief financial officer. Okay. And he got sick about 6 months after that. And when he got sick, the South Florida workforce, they defunded OIC. Said nothing. The board comes to me and says, Rollins, you got the job. I said, there's no money. What do you mean? I got the job, then what? So, long story short, we had a high-powered board at OIC. It was Jesse McCrae, who was the first black Secretary of State.
Was that when it was on 62nd and 7th Avenue?
Yeah, well, the office had moved to 50th at that point that I took it over. Okay. We had Georgia Ayers.
Okay, Georgia Jones Ayers.
Right. Garth Reeves.
Oh, man.
Carrie and Kendrick Meek were both, So we had a high-powered board, but no money. So the first thing we did is we organized, and we went down to appeal the defunding. Okay. And then we got $77,000. And we had to train 20 people, pay my salary, a job developer, keep the lights on, pay the rent. 77. I calculated. I said, maybe we can do 3 months.
Maybe.
Maybe we can do 3 months.
Okay.
So it was either take the 77 or go out of business.
Right.
So we took it.
Okay.
And then by the grace of Allah, over the next 15 months, we raised over $500,000. You know,
Wow.
and we took the job placement rate from 22% to over 90%.
Wow.
And we started a partnership with the Miami Heat. That was back when the Miami Heat was probably the losingest team in the NBA, but they were willing to partner with us. And the partnership was to teach entrepreneurship to young people that had come in contact with the criminal justice system.
Okay.
And so that was right before I got to meet you, because we were training these folks, and Janet Reno was preparing an application to start the Weed and Seed program, which was a U.S. Department of Justice initiative to weed out crime and seed in social and economic programs. Right. And so we were going to be the job training and placement component of that. And so we did do that. We got the Weed and Seed designation. She went on to be the Attorney General. Kathy Rundle came on and took her spot. Right. And then they needed an executive director for the Weed and Seed.
And there you go.
And but it really wasn't my intent, Leroy, to do that. My intent was to help them find an executive director. Right. But then the day before the deadline, I spoke to our accountant at OIC, and he said, Rollins, you done turn OIC around. You're making a good salary. You can be comfortable for the rest of your life. And we're in Liberty City. And I'm like, comfortable for the rest of my life? I'm seeing people, selling dope, getting killed, girls as young as 9 years old getting pregnant. I'm like, comfortable for the rest of my life? So I called Patrick White, who was
attorney.
The Assistant United States Attorney, Special Counsel to the United States Attorney at that point. And I told he asked me, how's the job search going? I said, it's going good. And then I started to hang up the phone. I said, Patrick, let me tell you why I'm calling. I'm interested in the position. You're like, whoa. So I applied the next day. I got selected to be the executive director, and we saw.
So I'm happy to hear the process and to know that our relationship started pretty much around there, huh?
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
So, but think about it. You sought out to put together some events around jazz, right? That didn't work. You went from that to start driving trucks. That fell through because of the lack of income. You get this opportunity to go to OIC, right? And that became a avenue for you to, for 3 months, you think it was only enough for 3 months, right? And you made that work, and here comes some funding that can carry you probably for a year now. And it's all around job placement, around, I would say, people who are less fortunate and people with backgrounds. And now you're here. So you went from jazz to now working in the field to eliminate unwanted activity and to weed in economic development and social services, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it's funny how we have a vision of something that we want to do, but then God has another vision for us, right? And sometimes it's a field that we never can expect to be in, right? But it ends up being suited for our character, right? So tell us about, from that point to now, what you've been involved in.
Okay. Well, I accepted Islam. That was probably the biggest single life changer for me in 1991. So that was, it changes your whole life. It gives you your life a roadmap. It like kind of like you get a new car, right, Leroy? What do they have in the glove compartment?
Right. They
And
got
the owner's
an
manual,
owner manual,
right?
Right.
And so
About the car.
Yeah, exactly. So the Quran and the life of Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, they are they give you a roadmap on how to live. Because we have our own ideas on how to live and what's right and wrong, but sometimes we think something is right and it's not right.
So if I can ask you, Brother Wayne, what and who introduced you to Islam? If I can ask.
Malcolm X.
Okay.
My father had a copy of the autobiography of Malcolm X, and I read it, and I was astounded by the last chapter where he said he went to Saudi Arabia to perform the Hajj, and it was no longer that Muslims were, just black people, and Muslims, were white, the black and everything in between, and and it was one brotherhood, it's the largest brotherhood, of over 2 billion people worldwide, and matter of fact, this morning we had a walk in one stop in the Gould's area, so I had a couple of hours before coming here, so I wasn't going to head back up north and then come back down, so I found a halal restaurant to go eat at in Naranja.
Okay.
And I go in and assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum assalam, and automatically, it's a bond and a brother. I never met these brothers before that owned, but immediately, it was a bond, anyway, so from the Weed and Seed, we were the most successful out of the 300 Weed and Seeds in the nation.
Okay.
And the Justice Department in Washington was sending me all over the country to train U.S. attorneys, police departments, district attorneys, community organizations on how we do what we do. And I couldn't get paid for that consulting work because I was already getting a full-time salary from the Weed and Seed grant.
Right.
So here I'm a consultant around the nation, and I'm working at Weed and Seed in Liberty City.
And not getting paid for your consulting work.
Yeah, not getting paid for my consulting work.
Right.
So in 2002, Leroy, I said, you know what? Let me go off on my own. And I became an independent consultant then, and I've been doing it ever since. So, we've had, significant contracts through the years with the Justice Department, the state of Florida, organizations around the country. We've done publications around the world, and now we're doing the Miami-Dade County Anti-Violence Initiative in partnership with Circle of Brotherhood, Community Youth Against Violence, Juvenile Services Department. It's all part of the Peace and Prosperity Plan that Mayor Carver has drafted and is implemented, I should say. And we have seen huge, tremendous success. So much success that people have flown in from the Netherlands, from
all over the country,
Bogota,
all over the world,
Ireland, and all over the country to see this work, and the Walk in One Stop, which is one of the initiatives that has largely acclaimed.
So let me ask you: you want to talk a little bit more about the Walk in One Stop? So in the show, anything you want to talk about, we can talk about.
Okay.
So if you want to talk a little bit more about the Walk in One Stop.
Yeah, sure, Leroy. Walk in One Stop started as a result of the 2008 Anti-Gang Summit. Where South Florida Anti-Gang Summit, we were looking at some of the emerging problems here in Miami. And so we had brought in 175 experts from around the country. And one of the objectives that they said is let's create one-stop social, economic, and health-related centers in all the areas where the high incidence of gun violence. And so 2008 was the housing bust. That's when, they had that big problem with the mortgages and property taxes went way down. So we weren't going to be able to do this bricks and mortar centers and staff and equipment. So by the grace of Allah, I said, why don't we put these centers on the shoulders of community activists, social workers, community justice professionals, criminal justice professionals, elected officials, and take that one-stop center right to the doorstep of residents in the area.
Go right to their house.
Right to their house.
Right.
Because like in the old Liberty Square, we used to do events at the community center, and people wouldn't come across the street.
They wouldn't come.
So you have a bunch of providers looking at each other.
But nobody coming from the neighborhood.
Not even across the street.
Right.
But now with walking one side, we're taking it right to their doorstep.
Right.
So it's like no excuse. So today we did a walking one stop for the people that transitioned from Cutler Manor over to Meridian Point. So we did it over there, and we were able to help 26 families so far. You know, the staff said that there are going to be some more, families signing up, but 26 families, able to improve the quality of life.
Right. So you go there, you offer services, you take information, you share with other service providers. The service providers reach out to see if there's anything they can offer, right?
Yep. But this time today, what we did also is we did a resource fair at the same time. So in the clubhouse of Meridian Point, we had service providers set up tables. So if a person said, I need assistance with my light bill, Community Action and Human Services Department was right there on the spot.
Right.
I need program for my youth. Juvenile Services Department was right there on the spot. I needed help with employment and training. The Career Source was right there on the spot. The Career Source is always there, but this is the first time that we've had all these different providers
right there
on site.
New location, right?
At the new location.
Yeah, it's a nice place too. I've been there before.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I mean, when you talk,
so they moving from Cutler Manor to there. It's like night and day.
Come on.
Yeah. So Cutler Manor, soon they're going to be tearing phases down of it and redoing it, right?
Correct.
Yeah, and they're not moving all the tenants at one time.
Correct.
And
then I feel sorry for the ones that did not opt to move because it is we were there today. I said, it's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a nice place.
Well done.
Yeah. So Nana has an office right across the street from it.
There you go.
So any services that we can help out, if they need to come and update their public assistance or look for a job, anything, they can walk right across the street, and the services that we offer there is free of charge. Yeah, they're literally right across the street from them.
We produced the South Florida Reentry Resource Guide, and Nana's in there, and we distribute those today.
Cool.
So people have that have access to that knowledge.
Cool. So, is it any other programs you want to share information about right now?
Oh man, Leroy, we have about 7 initiatives that have gotten the attention.
So what about the hospital-based violence?
Hospital-based violence is an intervention program.
Yeah.
We have master's level social workers, a PhD, a nurse, master's level nurse, who is a young, black, straight male. And he goes into the hood to somebody who just got shot.
Young,
and they got green spots pouring out of their leg, and he goes in and help them patch it up and everything, and it's amazing.
Go to their house.
Go
young,
to their house.
They can relate to him, because when they see him,
they think he's that's my big brother.
Yeah.
And the social workers too. Social workers, they have stories of when they've been home and their house got shot up.
Right.
And now they got master's degrees and doctor's degrees. And they go out to we had one social worker. She went. I'm not going to call her name, but she went out to one of our clients. They had guns on the table. They were selling dope, and she came back and we were talking about this on because we have a call every week. We talk. I said, "Don't go back there, okay?"
Right. Don't go back there.
Don't go back there. I admire your courage, your tenacity, and your professionalism, but don't go back there. Okay?
But think about it. That's how committed she is to want to serve the people.
And unafraid.
Right? And unafraid to go.
And unafraid and relatable.
Everybody can't do that, Everybody not cut out to do that type of work.
If somebody's selling dope and got guns on the table and they're going to bring a social worker in and they're not, and that's a level of comfort that they have with her.
Right.
And so we've done a lot of relocations through that program. A person gets shot. You know how it is, Leroy. That at the Ryder Trauma Center, grandma or mama says to Ray and little John,
go get him.
Go get him. Go take care of that.
Yeah.
And so we've basically shut that down.
And you know what? A lot of times, nobody have to say that. Just the atmosphere, just to seeing the parents wailing and sobbing because their child done got shot, lead the other young youth to want to do something about it.
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
sometimes they'll say, "Go get them," and sometimes just the mere fact of watching them cry,
Yeah.
because they hurt about that, lead the young people to go out and do it. So it's not always the young people that's stirring it up. Sometimes it's the adults.
Yep.
That's playing a role in that.
Yeah, we found actually most of the time, when we first started this work, we thought that most of the gun violence was driven by young people.
Yeah.
Juvenile. That's not the case.
Right.
It's like 18 to 34-year-old. And like you said, like the parent or the grandmother, whatever, they will also, sometimes contribute to it.
Yeah.
But the children are basically, are good. You know what I mean? But social media, of course, has created an environment for these beefs, to take hold. But it's really ridiculous when you think about it, and the price of a life has become so minuscule,
right.
That,
But now we see the change, right?
Yeah.
We see the numbers drastically dropping in certain areas where it was common to see or hear a gunshot every day or every other day. Now it's getting to a point to where like it's unheard of, right? In these times, we never could imagine the numbers would be as low, significantly lower as they are now. So let's talk about the changes in the numbers in the areas that we see now.
Well, it's safer in Liberty City now than Coral Gables.
Right.
Yeah, I hope the Millers didn't hear me say that.
Right?
No, but seriously, Leroy, in the South District, which is one of our focal areas,
right.
Which covers West Bryan, Naranja, Goulds, and some of the other unincorporated areas there, we went 2 months without a contact shooting.
Yeah.
No one at the police department that I spoke to at the sheriff's office could recall ever 2 months without one single contact shooting. Liberty City, or the North Side District, one of our other focal areas, when we started this work, we were averaging a homicide a week. This is like around the areas of Liberty Square and PSU and, all of the places that had, hot spots, I guess you could say.
Lincoln Field.
Right, Lincoln Field, all of that. So we were having a shooting almost every day, almost to the point where, Papa Keith at one of the other stations,
we
would have
pop-ups.
And pop-ups, and would just try and have 24 hours
ceasefire, right?
Ceasefire.
Yeah.
And couldn't get 24 hours of ceasefire. Well, Leroy, as you know, we just completed 2 weeks without a single contact shooting in all 3 of our districts.
Yeah.
Unincorporated North Miami, unincorporated North Miami Beach, Liberty City, Brownsville, Naranja. We completed 2 weeks. There was none in all 3. We canceled. We have a call that we talk about the shootings. All of them, we canceled the 2 weeks of calls. It was the first time ever. And no one can recall Liberty City
ever happened without a gunshot.
From the 1980 riots to now.
Never.
So it's working. The strategy is working.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing.
Yeah.
To see that, and now, you see people playing outside now, you see the children going to school without being afraid. You see them walking the streets now. At one time, certain youth couldn't go in certain areas because of the beef they had with each other. Now, that's disappearing, that's unexisting now. It's amazing, and to be a part of that. Knowing how I grew up too, because I was once a contributor to it, and I shine away from it, but it's not how you start the race, it's how you finish. I'm ecstatic, man. I'm proud to be a part of changing our community for the better, you know. So let's talk a little bit about the street outreach, if you want.
Street outreach, as as you supervise the street outreach workers for Circle of Brotherhood, we are the only ones in the nation that have a resource router community This utilizes 5 years of Part 1 crime data, which is homicide, aggravated assault, attempted murder, all the worst.
Violent crimes.
The highest of the crimes. 5 years of shot spotter data, environmental issues like the phases of the moon.
Right.
And it takes that data, puts them into algorithms. They run those algorithms, and AI will tell us where the next incident is likely to happen.
Right.
Using AI.
Right.
And so the street outreach team, the only ones in the nation. It will go out in advance of a forecasted shooting and engage the community. Right. Identify environmental hotspots,
right.
and stop it before it even happens. And where everybody else is just reacting to it,
right.
We are ahead of it.
Right.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, man. And I'm so proud to be a part of that. I'm so proud. Think about it. The first and only in the nation to do that, man. And to see how it's changing not only the community, but the environment, the way people are thinking, man, to get ahead of something, you know what I mean? To know, to have an idea where something can happen so you can be there, to encourage the people in the neighborhood, you know what I mean? To see over illegal dumping, to clean it up, because all that psychologically do something to a person.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? If you in an environment that's wasted, like, you don't think it don't give any positive energy to you, man. To be a part of that, is amazing, man. I'm very proud to be a part of the anti-violence initiative group, violence intervention, street outreach team. I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud. So I usually ask my guests, if it's anything you think I should have asked you that I didn't, that you want to share, because I know it seemed like we've only been talking 5 minutes, but the 30 minutes is almost up. So if there's anything that you want to share that you think I should have asked you, or that you wished I would have asked you, that you want to share.
Oh my goodness. Leroy.
So what about, let's talk about the community youth against violence.
Yes.
How about that?
Okay.
With what they're doing with the youth in school.
Yeah. Lorenzo Johnson, a former NFL football player, he is actively engaged with the schools and doing anti-violence work. He's taking them on peace walks, and he has twice a month Zoom call where the children can learn about strategies in anti-violence and how to be a positive peer. We do gang awareness workshops.
And get community hours too.
And they get community hours for that. And we're seeing some great leaders emerge from our children through the work that Lorenzo was doing.
Good. So, Mr. Rollins, Mr. Wayne Rollins, I want to thank you for finding time to be on this show. I want to thank our guests for tuning in. Again, my name is Leroy Jones. I want to thank you for tuning in to the Nana Talk, where communities rise. Looking forward to you being a part of my next show. Again, Mr. Rollins, I would love to have you back as a guest again, because there's so much more we could talk about, brother. So much more we could talk about.
Absolutely.
And after knowing each other for 30 years, man, it's my honor to work with you, brother.
Likewise.
So thank you.